From a sudden car accident to a disgraced Hollywood producer, there are several shocking reasons why Kill Bill Volume 3 never materialized, and why there's a good chance it never will. Kill Bill Volume 1 is the only one of Quentin Tarantino's movies to get a sequel, so why hasn't it received a threequel? If you're looking for a simple answer, it's that Tarantino is waiting for his stars to grow up a bit. From the very beginning, Tarantino has said that his plan for a potential Volume 3 requires the actors from the original films to be at least 15 years older. Not just the adults like Uma Thurman and Daryl Hannah, but also child actors Perla Haney-Jardine and Ambrosia Kelly. The longer and more complicated answer is that Tarantino's style has evolved over the last 2 decades, and the projects he's made more recently look very different from Kill Bill. Death Proof, part of the 2007 double feature experiment Grindhouse, was the last of his films to have a certain Kill Bill vibe, mostly due to the performance of Thurman's stunt double Zoe Bell as a fictionalized version of herself. From 2009 onward, however, he moved forward with a very different series of revenge films, rewriting historical atrocities with Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A focus on the literary rather than the visionary has consumed Tarantino's output in the last decade, from the drawing room drama of The Hateful Eight to his novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As his self-imposed career clock is ticking down, it seems a strong possibility that another Kill Bill sequel just isn't something that interests Tarantino very much anymore. Journalists have been asking Quentin Tarantino about a possible Volume 3 for 2 decades, and the famously gabby director has happily obliged and gleefully fueled the rumors. In 2004, he referred to the possible series as his take on Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, and claimed that his initial plan was to make a sequel every 10 years. Once 10 years had actually passed, though, things had changed. While promoting The Hateful Eight in 2015, Tarantino told Variety, "I'm not committing to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the bride made one more appearance before the whole thing is said and done." Tarantino has also repeatedly stated that he will direct only 10 films. Once he completes that 10th and final film, he will apparently retire from making movies. With every new release in the last few years, he's gotten closer to that self-imposed cutoff, and unless he breaks his vow or finds a loophole, it looks less and less likely that Kill Bill Volume 3 will be included in his filmography. The Kill Bill films are all about revenge, and they center around an important ethical question. Is a desire to seek retribution, to finish unfinished business, ever justified or merely a justification? Beatrix Kiddo sets out to destroy the people who destroyed her life, but she kills an awful lot of other people along the way. Bill even calls her out on it during their final confrontation.
All those people you killed to get to me felt damn good, didn't they?
The bride sliced through dozens of Oren Ishii's bodyguards, not for some high-minded act of cosmic balance, but because she enjoyed doing it. According to Tarantino, a third film would pick up the revenge theme for a new generation. Nikki Bell, daughter of former Deadly Viper Assassination Squad member Vernita Green, seeks revenge against the bride for the death of her mother. Raised and trained by the treacherous Sophie Fatale, whom Beatrix left maimed but alive, Nikki would set out for her own righteous vengeance, facing the bride along with her now-grown daughter Bibi Kiddo.
You can take my word for it. Your mother had it coming.
Back in 2007, series producer E. Bennett Walsh told the audience at the Shanghai Film Festival that the third, and potentially fourth film, might also feature a pair of former henchmen from the first movie, seeking their own revenge against the bride. The first 2 Kill Bill films leave precious few characters alive by the end, but there are a few actors that would be expected to return in a follow-up. First and foremost, of course, is Beatrix Kiddo herself, Uma Thurman. Julie Dreyfus could also return as Sophia Fatale, as well as Daryl Hannah as the bride's nemesis Ellie Driver, left blinded but alive at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2. Several actors from the films have sadly died in the last 2 decades, including David Carradine and Sonny Chiba. The real question is who would play the now-grown Bibi and Nikki? Part of Quentin Tarantino's plan to wait 15 years was to give actor Ambrosia Kelly time to grow up. In 2004, he told Entertainment Weekly, "It's exciting to know that somewhere there's a little girl who will grow up to be my leading lady." However, Kelly hasn't acted on screen since 2012. And in 2023, Vivica A. Fox said in an interview with Variety that her dream casting for the role of Nikki would be Zendaya. As for Bibi, Perla Haney-Jardine remains active in the business, and even had a small role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In recent years, though, a different candidate has emerged, Thurman's real-life daughter Maya Hawke, who's become a star in her own right. Quentin Tarantino has developed a routine company of sorts over the years, and for a while, Uma Thurman was not just a company player, but a muse and collaborator of the director. The two of them developed the character of the bride while working together on Pulp Fiction. After all, the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad sounds an awful lot like the crime-fighting team in Mia Wallace's TV pilot Fox Force 5.
Fox as in we're a bunch of foxy chicks. Force as in we're a force to be reckoned with. And 5 as in there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
However, Thurman and Tarantino have not worked together since Kill Bill Volume 2 came out in 2004, and more than a decade later, one of the possible reasons why came to light. In a 2018 profile in the New York Times, Thurman stated that Tarantino had coerced her into doing an unauthorized automobile stunt. Instructed to drive a convertible down a winding path in Mexico at 40 miles per hour, Thurman lost control of the car and ran off the side of the road, resulting in a concussion and damage to her knees. Footage of the accident was released online after the story dropped, footage which, according to Thurman, Tarantino had fought for years to keep private. In an Instagram post accompanying the profile, Thurman acknowledged that Tarantino finally allowed her to release the footage and said that he feels remorseful about the incident. Even after making amends personally, the two have yet to collaborate again. In the Instagram post featuring footage of Uma Thurman's wreck, she wrote that while she feels the negligent stunt itself was not done with malicious intent, the 15-year cover-up of the accident very much was an act of malice. Thurman laid the blame not at Quentin Tarantino, but squarely at the feet of producers Lawrence Bender, E. Bennett Walsh, and Harvey Weinstein. That wasn't the only thing she accused Weinstein of either. In the 2018 New York Times profile, Thurman claimed that Weinstein sexually assaulted her on 2 different occasions in the 90s, and he threatened to end her career when she confronted him over his actions. She wasn't the only one, as other high-profile stars like Mira Sorvino and Selma Hayek also shared their harrowing stories with the powerful producer. Weinstein ran the Disney-affiliated indie distributor Miramax, and not only produced both Kill Bill movies, but championed and nurtured Tarantino's career from the very beginning. In return, Tarantino's works helped turn Miramax and Weinstein himself into a Hollywood power player and a household name. Tarantino worked with Weinstein on every one of his films, from Reservoir Dogs to The Hateful Eight in 2015. And even though he has since distanced himself from the disgraced executive, their longtime friendship casts a shadow over much of Tarantino's work. Kill Bill Volume 3 isn't the only long-awaited Kill Bill project that may never see the light of day. The official narrative from Miramax and Quentin Tarantino has always been that the 2 Kill Bill films were originally intended to be a single 4-hour movie, but it was split into 2 volumes in order to improve its chances at the box office. That may or may not be true. After all, the 2 films are very different from each other in style, and other than Uma Thurman, they have largely different casts. The idea that they were ever meant to form one coherent film is slightly dubious, but nevertheless, Tarantino has dangled the possibility of a combined feature called The Whole Bloody Affair for years. As of 2023, there have only been 2 confirmed public screenings of The Whole Bloody Affair. One was at the Cannes Film Festival in 2004, and the other was a 2-week run in 2011 at the New Beverly Cinema, the Los Angeles theater owned by Tarantino. Reports from those screenings confirm that the combined feature runs mostly the same as what the rest of the world already saw, but with a few differences. The epic fight between the bride and the Crazy 88 gang is presented entirely in color, and certain key scenes and lines have been cut. Despite these tantalizing details, there appear to be no plans to release it publicly again in theaters or on Blu-ray and streaming. In March 2023, Quentin Tarantino announced his next film, The Movie Critic, a 70s set drama about, you guessed it, a movie critic. When The Movie Critic comes out, it will be Tarantino's 10th film, and his film career is supposedly finished after that. If the director follows through, that means lights out for Kill Bill Volume 3. Tarantino reinforced this idea in July 2023 while doing an interview with the Flemish newspaper De Morgan. When asked if Maya Hawke could play the bride's daughter in a 3rd Kill Bill film, the auteur replied, "I don't see that. My last film was about a film critic, a male critic, and he plays in the 70s. If you're looking for the last word on the subject, that seems pretty final." However, don't give up all hope just yet, as Uma Thurman raised an intriguing possibility when she was asked about it in 2022. She told Fox 5 New York, "All I know is he's always said he's going to make 10, but it doesn't include if he does television. Could Volume 3 show up as a streaming series at some point, like Tarantino's expansion of The Hateful Eight for Netflix in 2019? We'll just have to wait and see whether or not he's decided to pull a little trick on his fans."
Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
Even though rumors have circulated since 2004, it's been years since Kill Bill Volume 3 has had any significant movement. Maybe we actually will see it on the big or small screen at some point, with aged-up stars Perla Haney-Hardine and Ambrosia Kelly, or maybe Maya Hawke and Zendaya at each other's throats. Only time will tell at this point, but if the project never comes to pass, it will at least be in good company. Tarantino seems to enjoy talking about films he will never make as much as actually making films, and the last 3 decades are littered with would-be features that never grew beyond his imagination. For every Inglourious Basterds, there's a Double V Vega, which would have brought together John Travolta and Michael Madsen as their well-dressed Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs characters. For every Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a 60s set Casino Royale or an R-rated Star Trek sequel that sparks speculation and excitement before fizzling and fading away as he goes in a new direction. Kill Bill Volume 3 may only ever exist in our imaginations, but if it does happen against all odds, we know it'll be a bloody good time.